Welcome to Cars and Health Bars. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about building on a budget, and also have a little surprise for you on the other half of the episode. You'll have to listen to find out. I think we both can agree that there are places that you can cheap out on whenever you're building a car, and I would say most of us are builders on a budget anyways.
I would say probably 70% of people who build cars, like their own cars, are on a budget.
And I mean, most people that are building on a budget are building on a budget. Like, because most of the time, if you got money, you're taking your stuff to a shop. And I mean, that is the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just saving you a lot of time and hassle. But on the other side of things, do you trust that shop? I mean,
Oh man,
I've heard of a few people that have got burned, doing that.
that's so true. It's all, and it comes to where you really got to listen to your buddies and listen to other past experiences. But I mean, I've taken words from friends on places that have, man, it wasn't the same story for me. I just completely got screwed over, other way around. We were just talking about like a muffler shop that I took a lot of my stuff to back whenever we were in high school. But Jordan just saying, he definitely wouldn't take anything there.
No, I've had nothing but bad experiences like two or three times now. I was like, maybe they're just having a bad day, so, I didn't try to hold a grudge or nothing, but I'm not mad at them, but, it's like, okay, clearly I don't need to take my vehicle there.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of leans into the building on a budget thing. Talk about exhaust work, yes, a welder's expensive, but at the same time, you're not paying for labor, you're just doing the work yourself. And at the end of the day, that's a skill you can learn on and then make money on if you wanted. So,
And even building off of that, the you can even be a builder on a budget, and there be some jobs that you can't tackle yourself, and you might have the option between a cheaper shop or like a more expensive shop that might even be farther out of your way. Our local tuning shop, they get people from all over, and I'm sure that they have tuners that are closer by, but there all these shops that build up such a reputation of doing such good work. People will travel for good work.
absolutely. And, what you're saying about people taking their vehicles to shops or stuff that you can't do at home, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that. Like, if you're rebuilding like a manual transmission, you're pressing on gears. I mean, you're doing wheel bearings. I mean, anything. A lot of people don't have presses at home or mandrel benders, or they can't pie cut exhaust, So there is a good. It's not bad to take your car to a shop and have them modified or nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with like buying a built car too. I'll kind of touch on that briefly, I guess. I don't. There's nothing wrong with not building your own car because at the end of the day, we're all enthusiasts.
I'm kind of curious on what your take is on this, because we're on two opposite spectrums whenever it comes to us being mechanically inclined. You have some degree of schooling whenever it comes to the mechanical side. You've been doing it for years. I myself am a what I would call YouTube certified mechanic. What's your take on these YouTube certified mechanics such as myself?
So, are you talking about like people that put content out on YouTube, or just
No.
people that watch YouTube content?
Yeah, I'm talking about like say I'm taking off like a head, and I'm like, okay, well, I've never done this before, so I'm gonna go look up a video and download it and go out to the shop and work alongside the video. Everything I've learned about mechanic stuff is through YouTube.
I have no problem with that. I think you should kind of choose who you watch wisely on YouTube. There is a lot of great content there, but at the same time, there's also a lot of bad content. So you really just gotta kind of, pay attention to what they're saying. And usually, if you're not the most mechanically inclined, you can still tell if someone else is. So
Yeah,
I got no problem with learning from YouTube. I've learned a lot from YouTube myself.
super luckily I had you help me with my heads on my 350, but I'd followed a YouTube video on how to set the valve lash, and I was explaining to you how I did it, and you're like, dude, that is extremely totally wrong. And you explained to me actually like what the purpose is for having that lash in your valves, and it made complete and total sense. So definitely, like you said, you've got to really watch who you're watching and make sure they know what they're doing to begin with anyways.
Yeah, and if you could you could probably hit up like local machine shops or tuning shops, and they would probably, I'm not saying they might not charge, but I'd say a lot of places would try and help you out, or explain things to you if you really like, especially I think if you showed up in person. I
Yeah.
don't think many people would want to explain anything over the phone. That's very hard to do. But
Yeah, that's probably my biggest pet peeve with my stepdad. He does most, or he's helping me set up my wiring, and I had an issue this week doing some wiring, and I sent him a picture, and he's like, "Man," he said, "you cannot send me pictures. That tells me nothing. I cannot see where that goes." And I'm like, "I know," but in my mind, I'm like, he can figure it out over the phone, pictures. But dude, a picture does
yeah,
not help anybody out at all. Or I'm sure one of your shop's biggest pet peeves is somebody trying to replicate a sound over the phone that their car's making.
oh yeah, I've had a few people try and replicate sounds, and it just never works. It's like, let me just go drive this real quick.
Yeah.
That's
But,
a really common like dealership thing is sounds. Like there's so many like people have like water bottles in the back of their car rolling around, and they're trying to describe that to you, thinking it's like something wrong with the car.
yeah, for a future episode, you coming from working at a dealership, and we have a close friend that still works at a dealership. I would just love to have all three of us on a podcast and me
Oh
just
yeah.
ask all the crazy stuff y'all seen while working at a dealership.
Oh, we could probably do like an hour on that, dude. I could talk
Well,
all day. Oh,
that's what I like about our interview episodes. You never know; they might last an hour on one topic, and it's just that's just how it be sometimes.
yeah, for sure.
But that's another thing too. Surround yourself with like minded people, and especially have a mechanic friend or two. Like I said, I know that I've got Jordan and I have a couple other mechanic friends. If I ever have an issue or have any questions, I'm like, hey man, would you mind just setting aside some time to come look at this? It's worth getting a second look and a second opinion before you blow your stuff up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're trying to do something on a budget, there's certain corners you can cut and some you can't, and you may not know that unless you've dealt with it before. So getting someone else's experience is definitely a smart thing to do.
Yeah, and on cutting corners, I was really wanting to get into some parts where you could get away with cutting corners because I mean, in the end of the day, if you cheap out and buy a crappy part that's cheap, it could end up costing you a lot more money in the long run because your cheap part could end up damaging what expensive parts you have or overall build in general.
Absolutely, I've been through that countless times, and I didn't learn until even like a year or two after I put that part on, and it finally failed due to a premature failure or something.
That's what I'm going through right now with all this wiring. I'm have no idea what I'm doing whenever it came to wiring. I wired up just the worst monstrosity you've ever seen, and my stepdad had to explain to me the value of an inline fuse. He's like, okay, so
Oh yeah, for sure.
this little $3 fuse here, that's a lot better than blowing up that whole fuel pump or that whole water pump or whatever.
It's a lot better than burning your car to the ground.
Absolutely. What in your experience? What's some parts that you can kind of get away with cutting corners on for our listeners that might be ballers on or builders on a budget?
So it depends on like engine platform, and I can talk about suspension stuff a little bit, but it kind of depends on what your goals are with the car. So let's say you start out with a C5 Corvette, right? And you're wanting to do racing on the Corvette track, NCM Motorsports Spark, tongue tie, NCM Motorsports Park, or any other track for instance. So, the first thing that I would not overlook is your tires. Everyone is pretty well aware nowadays that tires are one of the most key features to a car, so I would never skip out on tires on a budget. Those are so important doing anything competitive with a car. So as far as what you can kind of cheap out on, it it depends on your platform, like I said. So let's say you're starting out with a C5. They have a really good suspension design from factory, so you could probably run stock suspension for a while and be good. And on a lot of cars, your differential will usually outlive your transmission, so you can usually be safe with stock diff. I mean, hopefully no one's just, you know, welded your gears together. Who knows? I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff out there on marketplace, but you can cheap out on I'd say bottom rotating assembly of most engines. If you're staying NA, you can probably keep the bottom rotating assembly. Uh, Anytime you do a cam, do springs. I know there's cams or no springs required, but it's just preventative maintenance really to do springs. I mean, sure your lift may not exceed the factory spring rating, but if you're gonna run a cam, I mean, it's just better to run springs. I feel like I'd rather be safe than sorry. And trunnions, I've good name brand trunnions like CHE. I cheaped out on trunnions on my car, and it caused not only the trunnion to fail, but it also caused the lifter to fail too because there's no preload on the lifter from the push rod. And I could probably talk all day about like different things I've experienced with premature failures from putting on cheap parts, exhaust. A lot of cheap exhaust is really not good from my experience. That a good name brand exhaust is definitely worth it, especially on like headers because you want good fitment around like your steering shaft and frame.
Yeah, I mean, and whenever you start buying parts off Amazon, eBay, all that, you run into our good old buddy Chinesium. And oh my God, dude, Chinesium is not your friend.
You know, I gotta say, I got Chinesium header or not Chinesium. They're actually stainless, but I got some eBay or Amazon headers. I can't remember when I first got my car. You know, I didn't know no better, and they fit like shit. But I gotta say, the metal quality was pretty good. They're only starting to rust 2.5 years later, almost 3 years later. They're finally starting to get some rust.
Yeah, hey, it's definitely, especially whenever you order stuff off Amazon or eBay, it's definitely like a big chance game whether or not you're going to get a decent part or not. I
Yeah, for
mean,
sure. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I got a that starter, that mini starter for my 350. It was aluminum, all that, smaller build, whatever. I get that thing up, dude. I shimmed it every way I could. Like there was no way that thing, and it would just lock up in the flex plate every single time. And dude, and it turned out the actual Bendix, I'm pretty sure, is what ended up being bent. So I just had to go to O'Reilly and just pick up an actual one. That's another big thing, especially on stuff that you're not too sure if it'll work or you're not too sure if it'll fit. Man, go to a local parts house because worst case scenario, the part don't fit or whatever, you can just take that thing right back.
Yeah, for sure. I'll agree with that.
I've
Um,
I've got a really good buddy that works at our local parts house, and man, he'll get stuff real quick and he'll return stuff real quick. It's really good to get a friend that works at a parts house.
yeah, for sure. Luckily we order a lot online, so I don't deal much with actually going to the parts house. But if I ever do go, we got a local O'Reilly's, and I've had nothing but pretty much good experiences out of them. So,
Yeah, and a lot of your guys
and
that
buying
works.
online, try and buy from good, like depending on the brand of your car. Like, so let's say you got an LS car, Tech Speed, BTR, Summit. Buy from good distributors.
Yeah, and if you're building like an older car, like a 350 or any older body style car, uh,
Jeds,
yeah, Jags and
Speedway,
Speedway
yeah.
are your best friends, especially Speedway. There's not a lot I could not find for my 350 on Speedway, and even like they even sell like conversion kits. Like I went from V6 to 350 in my G body Camaro, and they had everything I needed to do the conversion. They had the cross member for the transmission that's not even supposed to be in that car. Like everything you need is on there. So big shout out to Speedway for helping me on my build, having all the right parts. Not
By the
sponsored.
way, you ain't got no G body Camaro
F
at
body.
F
Yeah,
body.
I got mush brain.
All good. Um, as far as like swap parts, that's a little harder to find. You might have to know a fabricator or someone who's pretty good with a welder. And swaps are something I would recommend going to the shop for if you're not too mechanically inclined, because there can be a lot involved with that.
Yeah, and if your shop is kind enough to kind of let you, I wouldn't say stand there and stare at them the whole time they're working, but if you ask them if there's times where you can kind of pitch in or what, help out, whatever, it's so fun to do a swap, man. It's great if you can build that relationship with your shop to the point where you can kind of get involved too.
Swaps are some of the hardest things to do in the car world. I'd say that's pretty high up there.
For sure, yeah, it's so much. If you would do a swap, I would definitely, if it's your first one especially, look for a platform that is used quite often. That way, you can find
Yeah, like a
aftermarket parts.
S10 or
Putting a 350
C10.
in,
I mean,
putting a 350 or an LS in virtually anything, there is a swap kit for it.
yeah, 240s are kind of like that, but imports, I wouldn't say stay away from. Everyone likes an import, but there's some imports, and I don't hate on them, like Skylines and stuff, for instance. They never had a RB made in the American market. They never came to America. So your best bet for RB parts is like Canada, or if you know someone, because a lot of parts there is hard to find. I mean, you're going to pay a lot for shipping.
That's yeah.
There's a lot of hassle there.
That's what I was gonna say, man. That shipping, that's God, that's terrible, especially out of country. Like, ooh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I see a lot of people that are builders on a budget definitely being these LS guys, and because a lot of times if you're buying something like an RB or a 2J, you probably got a little bit of money if you were able to swing that.
Yeah. The 2J maybe not, but definitely the RB. You gotta know what you're doing or have some money there.
And another thing, man, junkyards are your friends because a lot of times there's especially with the Corvettes, they a lot of times have a lot better parts, and they will go, like, especially for me for a Camaro, I took a rear end out of a Corvette same year and put it inside my car, bolted right up. Everything seems to be fine right now.
Yeah, junkyards are pretty underrated. Like you go to a pull apart, man, you can get a 5.3 for nothing.
And same thing we were saying with the parts house. A lot of times you go to a local junkyard, a part don't work, they will probably more than happily take that back and give your money back or
Yeah,
try to find you
absolutely.
something. Like anytime you can stay local, which I know Amazon and eBay, they do returns, but you got to wait for shipping, mail guy to pick it up. Man, if the part don't work, I want to load up and go get the right
Yeah.
part that same day, like the same hour.
What if I'm waiting on this car to get done today for a customer? Or if my daily's broken, I gotta fix the shit box. Like
Yeah. Yeah, that's me. Like you work, 12-hour shifts, whatever you work, and you've only got one or two off days. You're only off during the weekends or whatever. You got to really want your car done that weekend, or you're going to have to wait another 5 days before you can work on it.
yeah, for sure. No one wants to work after work. That's the worst.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, with me personally, I know for sure there's a part that I'm going to have to replace because I just bought it. It's my distributor. I should have bought an MSD. I wasn't thinking. I just cheaped out. It was one of the first parts I bought whenever I started the build. I bought like just some off brand. I think the brand's like JDM or something. It's so random. But the distributor cap, man, it don't even, like, all four like little legs that attach it to the
Yeah,
actual distributor. I can't even get all four of them on. Even if I tried pushing down as hard as I can. It's just like it's just such a cheap
yeah.
part.
That's
Nothing
what you
lines
find with a
up.
lot of cheap parts. I mean, the fitment on everything's just the worst.
I just that
And then
that's
like it's like them Duralast clutches, man.
I will say if you do, like, worst case scenario, you've got to buy a cheap part just to get it going or just to hear it run, whatever. Definitely write down that part and replace it whenever you get some money because you don't want that, man. You don't need that in your car.
Yeah, and you don't want to have a one part fail cause a bunch of other failures. Like let's say your slave cylinder is a Duralast. Let's just say Duralast clutch and slave you throw in your car. Pressure plate. You throw all that in, and maybe it bleeds out, which I've never seen. Everyone I've done, you can't even get it to bleed. I mean, but let's say you get it to bleed right, and you're going down the highway one day, and it just locks up, man. Worst case scenario, you're out of clutch. Or best case. Worst case, you've took some teeth off your ring and pinion. You probably fucked your trans up. I've seen it. I've seen a few cars from like slave cylinder issues just eat the diff.
And dude, don't get us wrong. Like, we understand that buying name brand parts, it's not cost effective. It's
No one
super
wants to.
expensive.
I hate it, but it's what you gotta do.
Yeah, I mean, I know at some point whenever I was getting everything ordered that I thought I needed, man, I spent like $90 on just a transmission cable. It gutted me. I'm like, how can this thin piece of wire cost 200 or $90? It just blew my mind. But it's just what you got to
That's where
do.
the junkyard comes in.
Yeah,
If you can't get good aftermarket parts, try and get OEM. OEM is usually better than cheaper aftermarket.
And if you want to get creative, I mean, there are YouTube videos out there that even show you how to fabricate parts, and it feels
Yeah.
just. I'm biased because it's my profession, but man, fabricating stuff just gives you such a sense of accomplishment, knowing that you made
Oh
that
yeah,
part. Like you just look at it a different way, and it's at least for good stories. Like if you're a guy that goes to car shows or Cars and Coffee, it makes for a good story on the build's history and what you did, and it's just a great thing to do.
for sure. I kind of go on a rant about cheap car, like people cheaping out on car parts and stuff
What
too.
do you got?
Like all the Gen 3, Gen 4 truck, like 5360 LS people, they
What about
get
these
their
Fitment Kings
300.
too?
Yeah, they get their 300,000 mile 5.3, and maybe they throw some cam bearings in this thing with the biggest truck Norris that BTR has on the shelf that day, and they don't put any springs on it, and they reuse all their push rods, and it makes, let's say, 350 to the wheel in their 99 Silverado. Not bad.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm not a big fan of that. At least re-bearing or re-gasket your engines. I know people that reuse head gaskets and stuff. It's like blows my mind. I've heard of people reusing head bolts.
Oh my god. That bolt's already been torqued to spec, and they're
Yeah, it's
reusing
been
it
heat
again.
cycled a million times and been torqued. I mean, it ain't. The clamp load is not there, buddy. That bolt's stretched.
That's something that a lot of people just kind of don't want to pay any attention to, is the engineering aspect of like stuff like that. Like
Fasteners, man, you can't cheap on fasteners. The ARP or nothing or OEM.
the whole purpose of torquing something to spec is specifically to stretch those threads where they need to be, like to get
Yeah.
maximum clamp force. Like there's more to it than just let's just put some Ugga to it. And
Yeah,
believe,
especially anything that's torqued to yield. I mean, don't reuse that.
I mean, believe me, there is some specs where it don't matter if you Ugga or not, even though it's got a spec. But there's definitely stuff that you have to be meticulous about.
For sure. I may not, like, I don't impact most stuff on, but if I do put it on and I don't torque it, I usually fill it out by hand with a ratchet or something at
Yeah.
least.
You freaked me out the other day when you were putting my wheels on, and I seen you down there tightening them with a torque wrench. I'm like, what's homie doing down here? I normally tighten it with like a breaker bar, just like I'll add even load to the threads, but homie down here with the torque wrench.
Of course, yeah, torque the wheels, man. And have them falling off.
That was too much for me. I'm over here just like, especially with my truck, I just did wheels on it. I'm just like, all right, breaker bar till I feel the amount. But yeah, that's definitely something you probably should torque down.
Yeah, when I worked at the dealer, I wasn't much about it. It's when you're flat rate, you just Ugga it and send it.
Get the next one in here, get me another paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a wheel come off from doing that, so I can't say it doesn't work, but I'd rather it be torqued to spec.
Yeah, it's just another way to be meticulous in your trade. I'm the same way in my trade. I
Yeah,
get
if
that.
you got time, take your time. That's something people like. Anyone building on a budget, you're probably gonna deal with some old parts, and they're not gonna want to cooperate too well. Like stuff's corroded. Like today, dealing with my drive shaft, it was corroded to the rubber coupling to the or the diff. Man, it was such a pain. But you just be patient with stuff. Don't get angry, and make a mistake that might end up costing you money or a lot of time.
I will say too, another thing, if you're building on a budget or just building in general, it can get toxic. I've seen it happen, but Facebook groups with people who have the same build as you, like I'm building a third gen. I'm in a third gen group on Facebook there. Man, if you have any questions, they have probably already dealt with that. And there's probably threads in that Facebook group of people having this problem and somebody answering it. Like my radiator, I don't have a shroud on yet, or I can't use one now that I got a bigger radiator, but I didn't know. Right now, the way my radiator sits is it's like not flush. It's actually higher up than where the metal sits, where the hinge and everything is. I thought that it was like a big problem. I'm like, what am I going to do? I just got on that Facebook group, and it turns out you just have to fabricate your own bracket to go on there, especially with a bigger radiator. Had no idea, and it's just not something you could YouTube specific questions like that, and there's probably forums and, stuff like that, but that's not something I really
Forums are a little iffy to me.
Yeah, and
I do like the Facebook groups.
Forums are kind of hard to route sometimes. Sometimes it just like you just can't. There's threads that go nowhere, and a thread will end because nobody uses forums anymore.
Yeah.
So and Facebook groups, like I said, and if you don't understand something, you can just ask, and there's people on there that would love to talk to you and love to help you through your issues.
Yeah, to any LS people, there's an LS swap group and like LSA swap group I'm in, and there's a lot of real good advice in that group.
Yeah, that it's good to have people that have already walked those footsteps that you can follow in and figure out the right way to do things.
For sure, learning the hard way is not fun. I've done it a lot.
Dude,
I'm
it's
sure
not.
everyone has,
That's a good way to break parts, hurt
a way to
yourself.
break your heart.
Yeah, break your heart. Yeah, yeah. That's terrible. And even like having something fail, like you said, right there at the end of the build, or not long after you finish the build, dude. That'll gut you faster than anything. And that's something I hope I don't
Oh
have to
yeah,
go through. I'm
no one deserves that.
I would say I'm kind of approaching the tail end of my build, and that's just something I'm praying that I don't run into.
I've
But
dealt with that with customers' cars, man, and it sucks for me, not even the customer. Like I just feel bad about the shit.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I don't know. Something else I wanted to bring up, especially since we're on the cars topic. We've kind of been workshopping some shirts. We're definitely going to get a couple for ourselves for promotions at Cars and Coffees and stuff like that. But I'm kind of curious to see if you guys would be interested in shirts. We'd probably wouldn't make a whole bunch, but I would definitely make if you wanted me to get you one, I would do what I could to get you one, as long as you kick us back some money for what the shirt would be. But we were kind of playing around with the design to kind of get you guys in what we're dealing with. I kind of threw on the idea of having some like controversial or like insultive phrases on the back, and I was kind of wondering what you guys would think about that. Just like having something random, like a shirt crapping on 5'3" truck guys, or a shirt crapping on the Crackle Tune guys. That's kind of one that we both really liked, and kind of as a shop shirt or whatever. I thought that'd be a good idea, and if you guys think you could get on board or would be interested in some shirts, it'll have our logo on the front patch and then have the stuff written on the back. I might post a picture or something like that on our Facebook or a TikTok if you guys were interested, and you can let me know if you would be interested in buying a shirt. You could reach out to us either on TikTok or Facebook. I'll get back to you. I think
Let us know
George.
if you have any shirt ideas. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to see what other people have to say.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that would be
So
great.
we could have one that says my other cam is a stage 27 BTR Chuck Norris.
That's a great idea. I love that.
It's like the my other car is license plate.
I have a stage 36 BTR Chuck Norris cam.
Yes, sir. 700,000 inches of lift on intake.
Man, that's something too. I forgot to get on with the truck guys, and I kind of beating myself up. It seems like these truck guys are the worst. Whenever you start talking about power numbers, they'll tell you what their truck made because they looked it up on the internet, and they'll be telling you how much the crank horsepower was from factory brand.
No, we don't. We talk about power after taxes around here. Okay.
Yeah, like somebody at work, I was like, yeah, like, oh, well, you got done to your car. Y'all tell them, I'm like, yeah, it's only making about 460 horse. They're like, dang, that ain't much. My truck's making like 400. And I looked it up on the internet. I'm like, okay, buddy. I was like, you mean crank or wheel?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. That's just what it said on the internet. I'm like, okay, your truck's slow. You have no idea.
Yeah, people really don't. It's really crazy how many people don't understand that you have drivetrain loss.
Most of the time, especially if I know I'm talking to somebody that don't understand, wheel, crank, horsepower, all that, I'll just say,
I'll just say my crank if I know they don't know about wheel.
yeah, most of the time I just round up. I'm like, I'm making about 500 to the wheel because, I just, by the time then it's,
Well, I mean, you're making more than that if you're at 460. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. That's a low ball for a crank, and that's, high for what it actually dynoed on the wheel. So it's just kind of a middle ground low balling on the
yeah.
crank side. So that's just usually what I stick with. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be excited to see what your car makes after your build's done. I feel like a lot of people are going to be nutting over your car after it gets done.
It's still a shit box, believe me.
It don't matter, dude. You got that power. You got that power that nobody else has got around here. Well, most of these street
Please,
car boys.
everyone can have it.
Yeah, but
But
nobody's
I mean,
got it.
it's more about the longevity of it than top number. Like I kind of talk about that, not necessarily like people cheaping out on stuff, but with dyno tuning, um, a lot of people want to see that peak power number, but that's not where you want to look in the graph. You want to see your mid range and how your drivability is. I mean, that's so much more important than your top number. I mean, chasing a number doesn't get you very far in the world of tuning cars.
How you get to that number.
I mean, really getting your peak number is not hard. You want to see what it'll make at so much timing, and then usually you want to lay off a bit at the peak number, because usually your timing's pretty high, pretty saucy. So you want it to be pretty reliable, unless it's like a pure on track car. You know, being conservative a little bit, that goes a long way. And a lot of people like, I know some shops that'll, and I like this. I think more shops should do this. Is when they get a car and someone's like, "Man, I just want to make so much wheel. I want to make this. I want to make this. I'm just after that number." I don't know. The shops will dyno it to that number and then take out like 5, 6 degrees of timing, whatever they got to make it safe, and give it to them, and they won't even know a difference. And
Yeah,
it's better that way, I think. I'd rather the customer's car not blow up, even if they want the max power. I mean, no one wants their shit box to blow up.
definitely. I mean, I say it all the time. I want as much power, whatever, blow it up. I'll put something different in it. Man, that's not a way you want an engine to go out, because you're talking about damaging a lot of other stuff on the way out.
Unless you're the king of junkyard LS swaps or something, which I know some people that are, and we've dynoed cars for people like that, and we'll throw the timing at them, and we haven't had one blow up yet, but I mean it can happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well,
I can kind of talk about one more thing on the junkyard LS stuff is I'd say most people know this, but Gen 4 rods are so much better than Gen 3 rods. I mean, if you're going like 5.3 with some boost, and you're not trying to pay $1,000 for like rods and whatever for pistons. You can get good deals on like some of these other brands for forged rods and pistons. I've got less than $1,000 in my rods and pistons, and they're both forged. So I think if you can't do that, Gen 4 rods are a great way to go. They're a lot beefier than Gen 3s. They can probably take twice the amount of use as Gen 3 rods.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I mean, Haney's truck is making like 500 on Gen 3 rods, and that's just like stupid. It's been making that for like 2 years. So
Jeez.
if he had Gen 4 rods, he'd probably be pushing 600 wheel like no problem.
Yeah, he's probably put a truck through some abuse too throughout the years.
It has. It's seen some abuse.
If that don't attest for it, then I don't know what will.
Yeah, I don't know what will, because that truck is the king of not the king of junkyard, but the king of like the Gen 3 LS can do.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. Well, if you don't have any closing thoughts on the cars, let's get a word from our sponsor for today. Hey guys, future me here. I just wanted to apologize. This segment you're getting ready to listen to was intended to be a video and audio experience. Unfortunately, the way our software works is if we are going to do a video podcast, the whole entire podcast has to be video. So we weren't able to do just separate video on this particular segment. We'll keep that in mind going into the future. If you guys want to see the video version of this segment, we will have it uploaded on YouTube if you're one of those people that has to visually see the tier list. But in the outro, I will review what our rankings were in case you needed to see that or needed to hear that. Sorry, I'm an audio listener myself. This kind of sucks, but we'll figure it out for next time. You guys go ahead and enjoy the segment. All right, something a little bit different. You guys can see video. So I'm not sure if I'll have it ironed out on Spotify and all that, but this will definitely be on YouTube if you want to follow along with our tier list. But I will do everything in my power to get it on your podcast platforms. That would be ideal. If it's not, you're just gonna have to follow along audibly, which shouldn't be too bad for you all. But yeah, we're gonna do a tier list, and if this goes well, definitely want to do this in the future, even maybe with the cars topics. That'd be cool. Sure. So we're we were just talking. So the first three Call of Duties being COD 1, COD 2, and then COD 3. Neither one of us have really played very
I
much.
played them,
Oh,
but
you have?
I was like 9 years old, 10 years old, so
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe younger than that.
I'm just going off of hearing that like COD 2 or COD, whichever one had vehicles, was like might as well have not even had them because they were that bad.
Well, yeah, I never played multiplayer, so I can't even speak on that on them. As far as I don't remember one or two as much, but COD 3 campaign, I liked it. I'd go back and play it almost. I feel like.
So we're definitely going to go ahead and move these into not played. We are going to be ranking them in order. Obviously, we want to
Oh,
make.
dude, let's say COD 3. Put that sucker in D tier. I mean, at
Hey,
least D tier. Yeah.
all right. I'm not going to argue with you. I cannot attest to anything.
Dude, I thought it was a good game for campaign. I can't speak on multiplayer, but it had a good campaign. I liked it. It for at least for 10-year-old me, it's pretty good. So
Yeah.
I drank it higher, but I just can't remember too much. So
For me, back during that era of our lives, I was playing Medal of Honor. Like I said, I was still a super little kid too.
yeah,
But
Medal of Honor was better on the campaigns. I think.
I was split screening with my adopted
Who
brothers back in
wasn't,
that
bro?
day.
Everyone be split screening on
Halo
Medal of
2.
Honor.
I need to do we need to do a Halo episode for sure.
We
That'd
can
be
do
great.
that.
Where have you got COD 4 Modern Warfare, which I didn't get to play until they added it to Infinite Warfare's pack, the remaster. So I've only played Modern Warfare Remastered.
Man, man, it's kind of hard to not think nostalgically about it and look objectively at where it should be.
So is COD 4 your
But
first Call of Duty?
my first was COD 3, and
Okay.
then my first modern COD was Black Ops, I think. I think I played Black Ops before COD 4.
Well,
No, I played COD 4 first, and then Black Ops. Yeah. So, um, I mean, obviously everyone loves COD 4. It's what created the modern Call of Duty foundation. I would say at least A tier. I mean, great campaign, really set up a good story for the OG Modern Warfare storyline. And then multiplayer, everyone was playing multiplayer when COD 4 came out. I mean, that was one of the biggest releases.
I don't argue with that. Which, like I said, the
No,
only thing I played
I'd
it.
like to place it in S tier, but I didn't play it a lot because by that time MW 2 had came out in my life. So I can't speak about it on launch or nothing, but I bet it was one of the best times of a lot of people's lives on gaming.
Wanna is it now? Well, since Modern Warfare 2019 came out, up until then, this was the first Call of Duty to actually get remastered. You know, you got to think it's so good that
Yeah,
they put the effort into remaster, and it probably was what sold a lot of copies of Infinite Warfare at the time. I'm sure their
it
sales
definitely is why I bought it.
it probably skyrocketed whenever they added it in to where you can or did they have that from launch where you got a remaster of COD 4?
Lot you had to buy the special edition to get COD 4, but then like halfway through the game's life cycle, anyone could get it.
That's right. It was basically just like a DLC at that point. It's such a
Yeah,
that's a
it's
terrible way to say that
scumbag move, dude. Infinity Ward, shame on you.
yeah, a DLC COD 4. I'm just kind of gonna go with your judgment up until we get to the Call of Duties that I started on. So with that being said, where you got World at War first? Is it no? It's not the first Treyarch game, but it's kind of where we saw Treyarch become Treyarch. Would you
Oh
disagree with
yeah,
that?
I absolutely agree with that. Love World at War. That's probably one of my favorite games of all time. The campaign was so good, man. I wish we could have got a World at War 2, but um, so I want to place World at War. I want to say almost S tier, but nah. I'll go A tier again with it because World at War set us up with zombies too, and that's a
Oh
big
yeah.
part of Call of Duty. I mean, you had um, Noct, Verruct, Darius. I think Darius, mate. Yeah, Darius. Shino Numa.
Yeah, and
I feel like there's one other I'm missing too.
like I said, that this is the first Call of Duty where we saw Treyarch really showing us what Treyarch was going to continue to be for the next coming
Yeah.
games.
The campaign on that game is one of the best. Like all the first like World War II games were so good in campaign. The later ones kind of just killed the World War II vibes. But multiplayer on World at War was really competitive too. I mean, COD 4 came out and everyone was like, "Yeah, we gotta play the next COD." So I mean, I got put up there COD 4. Both entry like it's not the modern game from Treyarch when it came out, but it was like one of the best releases they had for a long time, I think.
Yeah. Where do you have MW 2? That's this where this gets placed is gonna.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna hurt some feelings, honestly. I like MW 2, but I'm gonna have to put it in B tier.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I think it's overhyped. I think it's a good game. I love the kill streaks. It finally added in some really like you had a lot of kill streaks to choose from. And he had the nuke, obviously. No other game had the nuke at that point. That's awesome. But I think it's overhyped just because all the snipers and FaZe Clan, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like the sniper montages and stuff, but kill streaks are overpowered, man. And then you got cross map noob tubes, model 1887s. They're still OP. I mean, after patch, there's a lot of things, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with War at War or COD 4, but I think MW 2 is pretty overhyped. I think War at War was a better game in my opinion. Did you ever play Modern Warfare 2?
I played it like once or twice at a friend's house. It was not called. It was probably the first modern Call of Duty that I had played. Actually, it might be the first Call of Duty I played. Period. But like I said, it was just multiplayer at a friend's house.
I loved it. It's one of the ones I played the most, but I don't want to put it too high because I think it's a real easy game. I don't like. I think they made it too easy.
Oh, the aim assist too
almost-
on the snipers. Oh my God.
No, no, not even that. Just like with the kill streaks, man. It's like
Yeah.
you get a predator missile and you aim it right, boom, you got a payload. Like,
Yeah.
or not payload, but I mean, you got your next kill streak.
Isn't there like a particular skill streak or score streak, kill streak order that you could follow to like pretty much guarantee a nuke if you get in like a halfway decent
Oh yeah,
game?
if you get a chopper gun,
Chopper
you're
gun,
getting a nuke if you're in your game. Like if you're in your spawn.
Yeah,
And then if you can get some cross mat noob tubes at the start, like you spawn on Wasteland, I mean, you can get a predator missile or attack chopper like nothing.
yeah, it's pretty much GG from then. That kind of takes the skill out of it at that point.
As far as maps, I remember a lot of MW2 maps. There's a lot of favorites like Favela. I loved Favela. Uh, Estate. I loved Estate. High Rise. Awesome. Man, there's so many good maps. Wasteland. I'm not too big on Wasteland. I think it's a little too open if you got thermal. I mean, you're sitting in the back. Uh, crap, I can't remember the name of some of them. There's a lot of good maps on MW2. I liked it.
Yeah,
I think MW2 really set like some of the foundation. Like COD 4 set the foundation, but MW2 kind of improved on the kill streak aspect. And then attachments on your gun. There's a lot more attachments, I think, too. And secondaries. I mean, shotgun secondaries. I think people realize that doesn't need to be a thing.
yeah.
The riot shield was added in MW2, so you got the start of that. I think that's all I gotta say. I think you could argue it being A tier, but I don't think it's S tier.
I think a lot of people definitely put it S tier.
Nah, I can't. I can't say I would put it in S tier. I could maybe put it in A tier, but I don't want to crowd up A tier.
Yeah, I can't argue. It's like I said, it's a game I might have put like 2 matches into and didn't even really take it seriously. At the time I was still pretty young. But Black Ops 1 is a game that I started to pick up Call of Duty and started to. I didn't own it. Still, same situation. I think I borrowed it from a friend, but I played it enough to have a decent memory of it. I will say one of my favorite things ever about Black Ops 1, and it's super underrated, probably something that nobody else paid any attention to, but I would play in bot lobbies, and if you had bots on, they would be the names of your friends on Xbox. Dude, I could literally play that for hours, just firing range.
That was so awesome.
I remember, like, back in the day, we had, like, just get on Facebook, like, tell your buddy, hey, man, why are you in my Call of Duty lobby right now? Just, like, stupid stuff like that. Like you're doing terrible. Look at you on the
Yeah.
leaderboards. Yeah,
So, where to put Black Ops? What do you think?
I don't know, man. You got where zombies got really serious. You know, you started to have some cooler maps. You got Moon. You know,
Campaign was really good too.
I never got to play the campaign, but I heard it was
Everyone loves
amazing.
Woods and Mason. I mean,
It was.
Weaver,
You gotta think it was good. It was good.
Bowman,
It was good enough storyline to go through three sagas of games. Like
or
four. Did they have it in Black Ops 4 also? Wait,
what?
I'm talking about like the story of Woods and Mason and all that.
Oh, I don't know because I never played Black Ops 4.
No, yeah, Black Ops 4 didn't have a story. What am I talking about? And Black Ops
Did it
3 is
not?
Strango
I don't
Boom.
even remember.
No, it didn't have a campaign. It's like the significant thing about Black Ops 4 and why I can't wait to obliterate it. But yeah, it was good enough to get 2 games worth of story. And man, oh, okay, let's not even get on Black Ops 2 yet. But yeah, Black Ops 1. I'm probably still gonna let you put where you want because it was one of those games I never owned. I played it quite a bit, really enjoyed it, and I'm probably gonna be happy with where you put it. I think we both have about the same stance on it.
Ah, that's a hard one, man. I'm going S tier. I think it's one of the best CODs ever come out. I think um that's a real controversial spot. I think because I liked how wager matches and stuff was. I liked how you unlocked camos and
I didn't. Yeah,
attachments.
I forgot about that completely.
I thought that was awesome, but a lot of people did not like that, and I get that. Um, I think zombies is just so significant that Black Ops One Zombies is maybe not the best. A lot of people really think Black Ops 3 is the best, and I can't hate on that. But Black
Dude,
Ops 1 really set the story in motion, man.
and look at the map development, dude. Like all the maps on Black Ops, dude, they're still being used to this day. Firing range, you
Yeah,
know, and and that's one of those Nuketown too. But Nuketown's one of those maps that like a lot of these Call of Duty players have been playing since the beginnings. Kind of like Nuketown's getting a little tired because they keep just using it and using it, and using it.
yeah.
But it just shows you how good of a map layout it is that they're still using it to this day in Treyarch games. Same thing with firing range, and I'm sure there's other maps on Black Ops that are getting reused because they were such a good layout. Which it's all the same layout. It's 3 lanes, 3 main lanes with some different buildings and stuff you can go
The
in.
newer one's not so much, or maybe 3 lanes, but there's a lot more elevation.
The new maps is just mush brain. Like
I mean, there's elevation in the older ones, but they didn't play like they didn't have they just play different. I don't know. It's different. I can't really describe it
a lot of it
for
has to do with
sure.
the
But
movement too,
yeah, movement's changed a lot for
dude.
sure.
Just
Black Ops
another.
1. Yeah, I don't know if Black Ops 1 should be S tier, but I just loved it so much I gotta put it there.
I was just about to argue another reason why it should be an S tier, dude. Dolphin diving.
I mean, I'm meh. Yeah, I'd rather dolphin diving than sliding.
Yeah,
I think sliding's kind of overpowered, broken.
it is.
You can have a lot of movement glitches with it. But the only thing I didn't like about Black Ops 1 was the snipers, man. They did not want you quick scoping.
Okay,
They
yeah, I
said
can
no
see
to MW2 quick scope.
that.
Like,
I don't remember the guns by heart, but the L11 or L something. Oh my god, that
yeah.
game's so slow.
God,
And that
man, it was just like if you held your breath, that was the only time your scope was not moving. I mean, it moved a shit ton any other time.
is like out here intoxicated in the battlefield.
Yeah, I don't know if there's Dragon's Breath in multiplayer. I don't think so, but it was in the campaign.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was. You used it in one mission, and I was like, I gotta get the Dragon's Breath Fast 12. It's I think it's in the Vietnam part of the campaign.
Oh
Because
wow.
that was one of my favorite parts is you're in Vietnam, dude. The campaign on Black Ops 1's one of the best ones. I think that's why I got so high up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to go with you on that one, and I definitely want to move on before you move Black Ops 1 because that's where I wanted at. What do you got on MW3? The first Call of Duty that I was to own.
Oh, yeah. This is the first one that I got on Xbox 360. And so campaign, pretty good. I like how the ending is, but Soap dies, man. That hurts. And then
Survival
Makarov
mode.
finally dies. Survival is so underrated, dude. I could spend hours on that.
Absolutely, dude. Resistance. Oh my god, Resistance.
Yes, that's the
and
map
that
I
one.
always played was Resistance.
Holding up in that middle house, dude. If you had a good teammate and y'all could watch both entryways.
I always played in the top left of the map, dude.
Oh really? Oh wait, where
Uh-huh.
would that be?
2 entryways. is that
Oh, are
big
you talking about that
shop.
bookstore? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we've played that before together. Not that was like towards the beginning of us becoming friends, but I remember that because I thought it was so weird. I'm like, why does he want to be back here? But yeah, that makes a lot more sense because there's not really. It's got a better escape route than
Uh-huh.
the main map does.
But also MW3 Infected, All or Nothing, all the party game modes that I really like MW3's party game modes as much as Black Ops 1's.
The guns on Modern Warfare 3 were so cool too. Like and
Yeah,
you
the
know,
MSR. I mean,
sniping
the
was
intervention was nice on MW2, but MSR, I'm taking MSR.
dual wield FMJ9 or FM9s, dude.
I mean, I ain't liking those. Those are OP.
Uninfected though, they're freaking great.
Yeah, on effective they're nice, but if you get someone in multiplayer on that, God, it's tilting.
Yeah,
A lot of guns were OP then because there's no like trigger limit. Like you could fire them as fast as you could. So like the 44 mag or Desert Eagle will just obliterate you in half a second. But,
yeah. Especially you get somebody that's really accurate with a hip fire, that deagle's
dude,
gonna mess you up.
me with the 44 mag was a force to be reckoned with. And
Yeah,
I remember a lot of like throwing knife montages on NW2 and 3, especially 3. I feel like.
MW3 holds a special place in my heart because that's where I got. Obviously, it's my first Call of Duty, but it was the first Call of Duty I got a gold gun in, dude. I'll never forget. Like UMP was the first gold gun I ever got in Call of Duty.
I think my dad played more NW3 than I did, man. He played. I don't know. We played it a lot.
That game was great, dude. It was so fun. It's so fun to play with your buddies too. Like I said, survival mode is so
Multiplayer
fun.
was so good too. A lot of good maps. Dome is probably. I wish they'd be in more CODs. I mean, I know it's in Warzone right now, but it needs to be in a multiplayer map.
Yeah, I didn't play much Spec Ops. I don't really know if that's something you can get on.
Yeah, I like Spec Ops. I think MW2 had the better Spec Ops,
Yeah,
and I kind of should have got on it on MW2, but it's pretty similar to MW3. It had some MW2 missions that I think Spec Ops. I'd go for times, but I wasn't super into it. Like I wouldn't do it all the time.
yeah.
Another thing on MW2 is like playing with your friends like Michael Myers. MW2 is way better for that
Custom
because
game modes.
Marathon on there, Marathon Pro and Ninja Pro.
Yeah.
You going anywhere?
Where would you put Modern Warfare 3 though?
That's hard because it's a good game. It's really good. I like it, but I don't want nostalgia to alter my opinion too much.
I'm gonna be honest. I want to put it in B tier, but survival's kind of pushing me towards A. But
Yeah, I'm on A tier.
I wouldn't be mad either way.
I was thinking B tier at first, but there's a lot. Like it's a finished game. I mean, you can't even say that about new games. So yeah, it's A tier.
Yeah.
It's a finished game. I mean, what more needs to be said? MW3. If you haven't played it, I'd go back and play it.
Yeah, especially if you're not on PC because you can actually get it for a decent price.
Yeah, for sure.
Black Ops 2, it's
I'm not even gonna say it. Just S tier immediately.
yes.
That's all I gotta say.
If there was an
I don't
S
even gotta
plus,
debate
dude, that's God tier for us. Like that's
Yeah,
the game that we became like pretty close friends on. That game, it did everything right. Force game chat, S&D, league play, custom emblems. Like I could go on and on, dude. It had the
I mean, all the CODs before that had forced S&D. I think.
oh, dude, still Black Ops 2 was unhinged. It was the best. Like
Sure, zombies on there got really good with Mob of the Dead and Origins.
branching storyline campaign. Like
Yeah,
where did they mess up?
that's even unheard of nowadays. Like branching storyline.
Dude, they don't want to put in the time. Like I said, Black Ops 4 didn't even bother to put a campaign in their game.
Yeah,
That's a
Black
branching
Ops 2
story.
is one of the most like complete games from the start. All the weapons on there are really cool. Can't hate on any weapons really. I'm
They're so unique.
executioner. I hate it, but I love it. So
I think,
I'd always run akimbo executioners, even though I hated them.
dude, and I don't know much about the guns from the previous games, but like just using like the Scorpion, like that rate of fire was intense.
Oh yeah, Scorpion.
You could hear
SMG
somebody
is
using
so
the
good.
Scorpion from across.
AN-94,
No,
M27, Scar H,
no two weapons were the same in their class. Like there's no assault rifle that's like another one.
KSG.
There was so much variety. Like every gun had something that was good about it and bad about it. Like it was so balanced too. I would even say it's balanced, which is odd for a Call of Duty to say that it actually has a
I
balanced
don't know
gun
if I'd
base.
say that. KSG's a little OP.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you weren't very good with it, or if you tried to hip fire with it, you
Now,
were,
if you weren't good with it, you probably get fucked.
yeah,
That was a skill gap gun for sure.
yeah, that's the best thing. Like it's kind of
I think
skilled.
sniping was OP. I think aim assist was too much.
I'll
It
agree with
was
that.
easy. I love, and everyone's all about the ballista, man. But homie, the DSR be putting in that work
Yeah, I
at
always
lower
was.
chest.
I was always on that DSR bus because
Same.
I could I would get so angry if I just hit like one belt loop below the
Yeah.
chest and it's like a hit marker. I'm like, come on, game, like
Now,
why
if
you
you
do
got
this?
me in a free for all game, I'd probably be rocking the ballista most of the time
Yeah,
because
that
I'd be going on
rechamber
some
speed.
feeds.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's see. What else was there? 5.7. I mean, God, I could use only the 5.7 and kill most of the enemy team on Search and Destroy. It seemed.
yeah.
And
Uh,
then LMGs. I don't think there's a single bad LMG on that game. They were all really good.
I hate LMGs in every Call of Duty, but I could get down with the old LSAT, dude.
Dude, LSAT put in work. You put a quick draw and like target finder, maybe a suppressor too. You know, you get all three.
Yeah,
That's all I like too about the builder class. You could get three attachments if you want it, and the what were they called? The special things at the bottom?
wild
The create
cards.
class menu? Yeah, the wild cards. Where'd that go, dude? That was one of the coolest things ever. The pick 10 with the wild cards. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. That they did the class system so well on that game.
And then I think it was the first game to have score streaks too, and I love score streaks
Yeah,
because if you play the objective, you're not penalized. You know.
or you're one of these guys that just gets killed stolen like
Maybe
all the
you're,
time.
maybe you're not as good at the game. You know. I mean, that's good on new players too, and it's good for experienced players.
Let's get on some COD Ghostuses, which is a huge controversy.
So I'm just gonna say C tier. I would put it higher, but I will listen to the community. If you think it deserves to be higher, you know you can say what you think.
It
You
had
know,
a moderately decent story, enough to keep it from D tier, I think.
a good story, really. It was a good story, and I was really hyped. I was like, oh, they're making a Ghost too. I was like, everyone was hating on Ghost, man, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty unique.
Kind of fun.
I can still remember the trailer with Eminem, dude, just fucking survival of this
I bet this is something that you probably forgot about, but they actually had a game mode for.
evolution.
Oh, yeah, that too. But they actually had Michael Myers as a game mode during Halloween.
I know, I remember that. I played it. I love that.
Like you actually, Michael Myers actually was like dressed up in ghillie and somewhat
Yeah,
looked
I
like
remember
him.
my dad played it and was telling me about it. And I was like, no way.
Yeah, that was kind of underrated, but yeah, you caught me off
A
guard with
lot
the
of the guns
evolutions.
on there were good.
Honey Badger, dude. I just
Honey
remember
Badger,
that
so
game.
the snipers. I hated the Lynx though. God, the Lynx was slow.
I don't remember too
Vector
much.
on
about it.
there was where it was at, dude.
Man, and Ghosts, they were one of the first ones to try to halfway recreate all gillied up, weren't they? With that one
I don't
mission,
remember much
that
of like all the campaign.
I
I'm
did,
sure the story was really good.
I remember that one specific mission where you're like crawling through the grass and you like have to play as
Yeah,
the
I
dog
remember
for a
that.
little
And
bit.
have Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing. People kind of crapped on it a little bit for that, the whole dog
Extinction
thing.
was really good too. It was a real team driven game mode. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah, I think a lot of people need to give Ghosts another chance. I think they
Yeah,
definitely.
I think a lot of the community just hated on it, and that just everyone joined the bandwagon on it. But I played it. I loved it.
Let's
Infected was pretty fun too on there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I forgot it even had Infected.
Yeah.
Speaking of Call of Duties that did absolutely terrible and bombed, what about Advanced Warfare? Our first EXO COD
I
game.
don't know where to put it. I don't want to hate on it too much because there are some things I liked about it.
I will say between the
I
three
thought it was a real creative game.
between the three EXO games, I would say this is the worst in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
It whether or not you hate the story or not, it had its memes. I didn't hate it, especially since
Press F to pay respects, man. You know.
yeah, and the first third of the game, it might be more like a quarter. You don't even get the exosuit, so it's kind of like it makes sense. I like the story. I will say it was
I
okay.
like it. Kevin Spacey in there too.
Kevin Spacey, yeah, dude. I don't know.
Was it there like the first mission your arm gets stripped off by a robot, or was that Infinite Warfare?
That was
Or Black Ops 3 maybe. Maybe it was Black Ops 3. all I remember is that whatever game it was that had the robot, I feel like it's
Black
Infinite War.
Ops. No, it was Black Ops 3 because Kevin Spacey's
That
in
was
that.
violent, bro.
I think so. I could be completely wrong. I think I am wrong. I think it is Advanced Warfare. I don't know. You'll have to do research on that
Yeah,
one.
someone's got to do it because it's been way too long since I played the campaign.
But
So where do you
dude? That's up to you. I really don't care. I've definitely got it somewhere mid.
really? I'm leaning towards E tier because I
Mid,
liked it,
mid to
but
low. I'm not. I'm not
the
gonna
pay to
die.
win was just too much, man.
Oh, the Obsidian Steel. Yeah. Okay. Where we got this?
Yeah,
E or F?
E, it's not F.
I completely forgot about the
I
Obsidian
can
Steel.
I can I can go back and play it and have fun. There's infected on there too, right?
Yeah, and that's
The exo zombies,
and
like infected.
the
God.
kicks was kind of OP, but it was kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, I liked how there's different weapon variants, but if they didn't monetize it, I think it would have been higher on the list. It was real creative to go to a futuristic like movement like that. I think a lot of people should not just because it was different. But
Not only that, but
I think,
it was a risk for the franchise too.
oh yeah, I was about to say that it's like a super big risk on them to try and give us something new and creative. I don't really think I got much more to say. Zombies, I never got way into it, but it was fun. It was harder. It was one of the harder zombies games for sure.
Kind of sucked that it was a DLC too, though.
Yeah, I mean,
I never got to
dude,
play it because I wasn't going to
getting
spend
around
money.
20 plus was a challenge for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, even on like on Black Ops 3, the map Dazadrock where there's the zero gravity room, dude, that sucks. Whenever you don't expect the zombies to be high up in the air, like above you or
Yeah,
below you or whatever. It's kind of throws a curveball in.
yeah, for sure. I
On
guess we can kind of move to Black Ops 3 now.
Yeah, what have you got on Black Ops 3? Because I think I think we both
I think you should be the one to place it.
uh
I, I played it a lot. I mean, more than you probably because I was a higher level. But
yeah.
I mean, I think once you grind the game so much, you kind of dislike it more. But I like Black Ops 3.
For
There's a lot of things they did right, but a lot of things that could have been better.
for me there's there's not much keeping it from being S tier. I've really got I love
Really?
it. I love it so
Dang.
much. It's got they redid some zombies maps. That was just the best thing
I
ever.
like that. I like Zombie Chronicles for sure.
Dazendrock was just, Origins, but their
Yeah.
version. Loved that, the bows and everything. I do wish they would
Shadows of
have
Evil.
Shadow. Oh my god, Shadow's another reason to put an S tier,
One of
dude.
the best launch maps of all time.
Yeah, that dude, just like the melee weapons. Whenever we found that out, oh my god, game changer! It's so much fun, dude. It just
The
you
melee weapons were so fun, dude.
you take just you're sitting there grinding, trying to do good, trying to level up, and you just get in a lobby where it's like headache. You can't do good, you can't do nothing. No, just melee, dude.
Well, yeah, have some fun.
Have some fun. Take a break
Always
from
so
being
fun.
serious. Like, oh my god, and the
I've gone
weaponsmith.
some killing sprees with it, dude.
Same. Like we'd be top of the lobby running melee class. Like I guess some people probably would say it's OP because of the movement. It's a lot easier to get closer to somebody, but at the same
I mean,
time,
it's
you've
just
got
easy to get away from them.
you've got the same movement that guy does. So it's kind of like you just need to be more aware of your surroundings, really.
For sure. Kill streaks, raps, so cool, dude. One of the coolest.
Yeah, and it had a great story. It especially you being able to like level up in the story. It didn't
Yeah,
help
I thought
anything,
that was
but
cool.
I would say I got really close to actually prestiging in the story. I played it several times. I played it with Jordan like 2 or 3 times. I played with my wife 2 or 3 times. And
Yeah, that's another thing about it, the co-op story.
yeah, and well, if you think
Where
back,
did that go?
if you think back, you can actually beat the story, and if you do, you get the reward of being able to play the story, but all the enemies are zombies. Nightmare
Yeah, I
mode,
remember playing that too.
which I didn't really play, but I thought it was a freaking cool aspect.
We did play it one time, I remember.
Yeah, we didn't make it very far. It wasn't for me. I don't know if it was for you, but
Not
I'd play
really.
the story so many times too. It's just like, yeah, I could go back and play it again, but back then whenever it was popular, I was playing the story a lot. I really enjoyed it. Frozen Forest, all the
Yeah,
that was another
I got
thing
all
too.
the specialist gold. I liked specialists too. I thought the specialists were awesome.
For once in a Call of Duty story, I don't know. I could be speaking out on this, but in my mind, in my recollection, this was the first Black Ops story where there wasn't a set. I mean, there was a set enemy, but at the same time as battling enemies, you were also having to kind of deal with psychological stuff like within the story. So it was kind of like you were having to deal with an enemy within and also around you. So it was like super cool. I loved it. I could just go crazy about Black Ops 3. It was a great game for me.
I feel like I could redo this entire tier list now if it's because to me, Black Ops 3 is better than Ghost, and it's at least as good as MW 2, but I don't know if I'd say it's better than World at War MW 3 for sure. It's hard for me to say it's as good as the first two Black Ops because those are. I could definitely play them for days. And
Yeah,
I can Black Ops 3, but I don't think most people would agree with it. But I can definitely say A tier.
yeah.
It's kind of crazy to say it's better than MW 2, but I liked it a lot. I played it more than MW 2, and I played a lot of the OG CODs.
From what I remember, it had pretty decent launch too, did it not?
Yeah, it had a really good launch.
That's
I think a lot of people were looking forward to it.
That's something that you'll notice on this tier list. Something that has gone down in is the launches on these games.
Yeah, and I think I could update this tier list. Like, my opinion might change in a few years, or
Yeah,
all this is kind of subject to change, and it's all personal opinions. It's not like we're trying to say it's fact or nothing.
yeah. Where do you have Infinite Warfare? Another controversial EXO game.
I would say C or D. Probably D. I don't think it's better than Ghost.
Yeah, I could get on board with the only thing I really this is one of the first Call of Duty games where I didn't get all the way through the story, but I will say the only thing that kind of I liked about it a lot was the multiplayer is pretty good. It was mid, but what I really did like was the zombies in Spaceland. That was dope. Like I love that.
Yeah, that's one of the funnest zombies maps ever.
Like,
and it had no exo movement, so I mean, you can't even act like that was a big deal.
I'm sorry for you nerds who have to have a storyline behind every zombies map you play and deep lore behind every zombies map, but you guys have to step back and stop being so serious and play a map like Zombies in Spaceland. Where you just chill.
When David Hasselhoff comes to your rescue, I mean, that's just awesome. Can't even hate.
Dude, I did like in the 80s songs that they put in there. Like,
yeah, I know some of the best music in a zombies game.
I didn't, and it was playing constantly. You didn't have to do some crazy, Easter egg to get the songs to play.
And you can only have it once in the game.
Yeah, it's like it's constant. It's just like it's good vibes, dude. Like that map is just good vibes. If I just had to,
I never did the Easter egg, but I remember watching it and I thought it was pretty cool. I can't even remember it much anymore, but I was like, that's a good Easter egg.
I didn't even know there was an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Who's like the Panzer, like the boss that comes in after like round 8 or whatever? What was that? I don't remember.
The clowns.
No, that was the dogs. What was
there a boss? I can't even remember.
Yeah, there was. I just don't remember what it was. I'll have to look that up later. That's gonna bug me a lot. Yeah, there was a guy that like ran around or whatever.
I can't remember, but
on the graphics
too, like creepy as fuck.
The graphics too, like how they had like all the retro, like the in the loading screen you had like the popcorn with the faces on it.
Yeah,
like,
I always thought that was cool.
Little devil as your wild card thing. We're hanging up on this too long. Where we got World War II?
World War II? Oh man, that's a hard one. I really did not like World War II.
I'm right there with you.
I think I would have liked it, man. I really like World War II games.
They had some great ideas with like the everybody being in like a that hub area. That was that was a good idea.
They're trying to be Destiny or something, man.
Yeah.
I ain't big on the hub. That's never been a COD thing for me,
I liked the idea, but I didn't like it in a COD game.
Yeah. Like Destiny, I like the hub, but on COD, nah.
And another thing that was okay, I thought, was the war game mode where you had like several different.
I do like
that was about the only thing I really liked, and it had a pretty good campaign.
All it took was one dude, and you probably weren't getting the breaches built.
Oh yeah, and on D-Day too, dude. If you had one guy that was on his game on the turret, oh my god, dude, y'all weren't going nowhere. There's a lot of matches like that too.
I liked it, but the balance wasn't really perfect for map design.
F tier would be looking pretty lonely, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was also thinking I'd rather play Advanced Warfare than World War II.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to hate on World War II too much, but
when you put that in perspective, if I would rather play anything from this up other than that. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Black Ops 4, the only Call of Duty game that after I was invested in the franchise, I skipped, and I'm not upset about it.
It's the only game I've never played in Call of Duty history.
Well, if I could rate it, I'd put it in F, but I can't because I've never played it. I think Jordan's the same way,
I
but
think I've heard it's a really I like competitive multiplayer, and I've heard it's really good about that.
I'll put it wherever. But I've never played it, so
Never played.
I would get it just so I could play the end of Zombies. That'd be the only reason, honestly. If I'm
Yeah, I do think they had some good zombies maps.
I hate it too that it didn't have a campaign. Like, are y'all?
I never played the zombies, but I liked watching gameplay of it.
Modern Warfare 2019, something everybody was excited about, everybody's fired up about, and
yeah, I like 2019. It was fun.
Looking back, all the attachments was kind of a cool thing, even in the time like of it being out. But looking back now, man, that Pick 10 was such a great system. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't confusing.
Sure. The attachments were, I don't know. There's just too many, and that's the thing with the newest Modern Warfare. So many different versions of attachments. It's too much for most people, man. The casual player base is just not gonna be there for that.
I don't want to have to pull out a scientific graph to figure out what attachment I need to pair with.
Let me throw on a stock and a long barrel like Black Ops 2, and I'm good, or whatever. They made it too complicated, and I like the attachment setup on Modern Warfare 2019. I think that's really cool. Multiplayer was fun, The
only redeeming factor for me for Modern Warfare 2019 is the story was great. Like, it had a really good story.
Absolutely. Good story. Did it have Spec Ops? I feel like it had Spec Ops or something.
Ooh, I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure.
Maybe not Spec Ops, but I feel like it had some other game mode.
This territory of we're starting to get into the newer Call of Duty games. This is where we ran into issues of leaderboards not being in games from start. Like, just little.
I think 2019 was pretty complete from the start. So I'm not gonna shit on it for that.
Yeah.
725 was OP. I mean, there's gonna be a few OP guns at the launch. I'm not gonna hate on that either.
Yeah.
Where to put it?
Brought back nukes too.
I'd say at least C tier.
I could see that. I'd rather play it than some of the mid XO games. That's
I definitely would play MW 2 over the new MW.
I would play Ghost before Modern Warfare, but they're on the same tier, so And I'm
indifferent on that. I can play either. So.
I would want to play Ghost just to give it another chance. Honestly, that's kind of where I'm at with the Ghost.
If you don't, obviously I'd play the new one just because there's more players. But if they both had like the player base, I'd be hopping in an Extinction game right now.
Yeah, I'd be right there with you. I only played it a couple times, but it was definitely it being one of those games. Let's see. I want to say Ghost was around the time you went to PC. I want to say because I don't remember playing it that much with you. I don't remember playing Ghost that much with you. There must have been a transition there.
We didn't play much Ghosts.
Yeah, I don't know why.
We played a lot of Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
We didn't play Ghosts.
Yeah, Black Ops or Ghost was pretty overshadowed by Black Ops 2's success.
Yeah, I think so. Black Ops 2, I mean, it's just the most successful of all time, I think, for most people. And COD 4, I think a lot of people, Black Ops 1.
I'm noticing a trend in Treyarch games. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, I ain't hating on Infinity Ward, though. I mean, I love all of their games, too. So, Cold War.
Speaking of Treyarch and being successful, I think we need to turn our backs and throw this in the trash.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I wasn't feeling Cold War.
There's a few things I like. I didn't like multiplayer a whole lot, but I did like it a lot at the same time. For some reason, dude, I could snipe on this game.
I didn't play Cold War that much just because I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't feeling it. It had a
secondary shotguns came back and they weren't overpowered. And they were pretty balanced. I liked them. I like the pump, the heal, or I can't even remember.
I will say this is another one of those games that I loved the campaign on. It messed with your head. It was psychological.
Yeah, dude. And you could have different outcomes.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing that I would.
I'm a fucking onion mason.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. And they had zombies in the campaign. That was dope. Like,
Yeah.
that was awesome. Granted, it was for just like a tiny little segment in a mission, but it was cool to see that.
It was cool. It was cool.
Where you got it at?
And then Cold War Zombies, I liked it. It wasn't the same.
Was that the zombies?
It was nice.
Was that the zombies where they were trying to have the really scary zombies again? You started like the tutorial was in that little cabin. I think so.
I don't think so.
Well, I think it's Vanguard zombies that I'm gonna rip into. But yeah, Cold War zombies I think was because you had that whole like basement area in the starting map where you can like go down there and all that. I might be wrong. I don't remember the zombies from Cold War that well.
The anomalies and all that, you don't remember? To get the pack-a-punch.
Yeah.
Had,
oh yeah, Cold War had an awesome zombies. I loved that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a good zombies.
Yeah, it had a really good
zombies. It started out in like a remake of Nocturne Totem.
Yeah,
it was like it wasn't really Nocturne Totem, but it was.
Like the Wonder Weapon you had to get, or I don't know if it was the
Wonder Weapon. I love the steps to get it.
The crates and everything.
The box too.
Yeah. Some
of the zombies would drop like Simtexes and stuff. I thought that was cool.
I still remember a lot of how to get some of those Wonder Weapons. Actually, I remember to get the gas one, you got to get that dog thing or whatever comes out on the dog round, and I remember some of the steps and something about the boss or whatever. You got to kill him near a tree to freeze it over. It's so weird how you do zombie steps and you just remember it years later.
Yeah, I remember doing that a few times.
Man, I want to play Cold War Zombies now.
It was good. I liked Cold War Zombies. And they had that big ass thing in the starting map at the edge of it for just a split second where you did part of the steps or something.
Yeah, being able to evac too, that was a great thing about it, Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
That way you don't have to sit there and just struggle and go down or whatever.
And then the Easter egg in Zombies, not the main one, but the zombies doing the coffin dance. That was funny. The coffin dance, I gotta mention that. That was so good. Where to put it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. With all that being said, man, I'm conflicted.
I'd rather play Cold War than Shipment 24/7. Modern Warfare, and Ghosts. I'd rather play it than that. I think. I'd put it B tier. I'd definitely play it with. If MW2 was full, I'd rather play MW2, but Cold War, I'd definitely play over 2019. And when we get to Vanguard, I'm just straight up saying F tier. I'd rather play Advanced Warfare than Vanguard.
I'd rather play anything than Vanguard, dude. Vanguard, even you didn't play it Zombies, or you might have, and you just not talked about it. But dude, it's Zombies it's so extremely easy. Like I'm talking, it makes Buried look like the hardest Zombies map ever. Like it's me and my wife is not a competitive gamer by no means at all, and I'm not competitive either, but I'm kind of between competitive and casual. Dude, we're literally just standing there looking up any way we can progress farther in that game. Any Easter egg there really wasn't it. There was 2 small, like, tiny Easter eggs. We did those. We did literally everything. And we had to, like, just end the game. Because it was so easy. Like, that is literally the easiest Zombies game ever.
Zombies, I don't even remember playing it.
It was terrible. It was like... And it was like, your starting room was, like, basically a safe room. Like, nothing would hurt you unless you went up to it. Like, it's just too easy, dude.
I must not have played it.
I don't know what
the
DLC...
I'm not big on the campaign.
I don't know what the DLC Zombies maps were like, but the starting map, dude, I'm just telling you.
The multiplayer, dude, I never want to touch that multiplayer again. I will let it burn in the hell. I hated that multiplayer, dude.
It was awful.
It was so toxic to me. I just could not do nothing on there, dude. The map design, there's like 3 levels on that hotel map or whatever. I hated that freaking map. Everyone just sit behind head glitching.
Yep.
There's so many head glitch spots on that game. I can't think of one map I enjoyed.
It's like the enemy team would always have a guy head glitched, and at the same time they'd have somebody else that was just running the map on all 3 floors, and like you just couldn't win, couldn't do anything. And I felt
like on Black Ops 2, there's always campers, but I could deal with them more.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's skill-based matchmaking came into effect about halfway through this list too, so that also just bombs the scores for most of these newer games.
Yeah. I can deal with skill-based matchmaking on a good game, but on a bad game, hell no.
I completely agree.
Skill-based matchmaking, in my opinion, it isn't working. Like I think the devs, it might be working like they intended to, but I think the community is not enjoying it for the most part.
It's too intense where it's like it basically punishes you for doing well, and they just need to figure this out.
Very casual player, I feel like it's not pretty. I feel like Call of Duty doesn't seem to focus too much on the veterans, of the who's played their games anymore.
Yeah. I'm not mad at this tier list. I kind of like it.
Any changes you'd make now? Are you looking at it?
If our current Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered was up here, it would definitely be right with World War II. I would say
Remastered or
yeah,
2022.
2022 Modern Warfare 2, the newest one. Or 2022 Call of Duty. It'd be F for me.
I'd put it at C.
Just I guess I would probably put it there too because it basically is 2019 remastered. Like
but incomplete. So I guess you could say D tier. Is there even leaderboard still?
I have no idea. I refuse to read all of the games.
Then that's I mean that no KD. I can't even see on KD, man. Like
that's another thing too. A lot of people are complaining about is the roadmap. Even this next roadmap for the next big update they're doing for that game literally only focused on Warzone. So it's like these guys that spent $70. It's like these guys that paid $70 for a game aren't even getting content whenever you're feeding content to the people who are playing a free game.
You're not getting a full game,
Yeah, and here they are just pumping money in Warzone. I get it for their company.
I don't think I'll buy the next COD, honestly. I mean, they're just shitting on because it's going to be based around Warzone, just like 2019 was.
It's Treyarch's turn. I hope they do something good. That's all I can hope.
Zombies probably, but I mean, other than that, what am I going to do? I'm not playing multiplayer very much on it, probably.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I didn't Merc have a video out saying it's going to be different or something. I ain't watched it yet.
I have not watched it yet either. Yeah, I hope so.
It could be different, and
I'd like to see what Treyarch's got, under the hidden up their sleeve. If they're doing something different.
This is an opinion that both me and you have, but I would not be mad whatsoever to see another EXO game just for fun. Like, just God, Call of Duty.
A game like if a continuation like Black Ops 3 came out, I would be all on that.
Call of Duty just
4, I guess.
They need to just step back from this sweat fest that's been the last 3 Call of Duties and just have another chill game that's not like
for sure
your parents are gonna beat you if you don't win the next match.
Black Ops 3 Revival was one of the funnest things for in a while for me.
Can't wait until they do that again. He's definitely talking about doing another one. That would be great.
I'd definitely be playing it.
With all that being said, guys, we've definitely ran a lot over. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit longer of an episode. If you did, definitely let us know. Jordan, do you have anything to say to these lovely people before we bounce out of here?
Deuces.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.